Our overarching question was, how does the use of ICT in the classroom affect student learning? Through this research, we found some common themes in the literature we reviewed. Those were student motivation, social and technological changes in education, teacher confidence and competency, and engaging classroom. Research suggests that ICT can increase student motivation, which enhances collaborative. I can't do this on one take. Research suggests that ICT can increase student motivation, which enhances collaborative learning efforts and promotes individual learning. The research also suggests that ICT has positive effects on the engagement levels of students, as well as their levels of motivation and attainment.
Further research suggests that the use of ICT in the classroom is dynamic and changing. Research suggests that teachers are sometimes reluctant or don't have the training and knowledge to use technology in the classroom to the same extent as students. Current uses of ICT in the classroom are leading to social and technological changes, which is to be expected in today's technological society. We found through research that the use of mobile phones can actually be used as an effective tool in the classroom, and interactive whiteboards are changing the education landscape.
Teacher confidence and competency can be linked to effective implementation of ICT and thus student engagement. This can be investigated through establishing effective implementation and how to achieve this implementation via teacher frequency of use, competency in ICT, and training in ICT. Literature suggests that teacher professional development increases teacher competency in ICT. That this competency and the frequency at which ICT is used in and out of the classroom affects how teachers not only perceive ICT but also increase the implementation of ICT effectively in the classroom.
Within the literature, we realised that there was a trend with engaging classroom activities, which includes improving the skills for ICT for both students and teachers, which would then increase the interest in the use of ICT within the classroom. Ensuring that technology is readily available for all students, no matter the school that they're in, whether it be Catholic, independent or government. Fostering the engagement of students to encourage them to gain confidence using ICT in the classroom. Changing the attention of students when using ICT in the classroom for their focus to be purely educational. And the use of online forums to communicate with students and teachers. This study was conducted at a Catholic high school in Western Sydney. The school enforces the Bring Your Own Device scheme, which ensures each student has access to an iPad in grades 7 to 10 and laptops in year 11 to 12. My survey was conducted with both junior and senior students and teachers all at the same school. The student survey results showed that majority of the responses were a yes from the students, as they enjoy using their devices to complete their classwork. They think it helps them stay focused, more engaged, and they like taking notes on their devices. The junior students are required to use an iPad, and senior students have the choice between an iPad and a laptop. There was only one senior student that I surveyed who chose to use an iPad. The classes that students feel it's more effective to use ICT in included science, English, and HSIE, with the other subjects varying with lower levels. The teacher survey results showed that the teacher responses were mainly a yes, as long as the students are focused on their work and not getting distracted. Question 4 involved a why section for teachers to evaluate why they believe that ICT should be used less in the classroom. And most teachers liked the use of ICT and thought it should be used more rather than less, but needed to be used smarter and in the correct way. There are different forms of ICT that teachers use in the classroom, such as projectors, iPads, Google Suites, videos, and quizzes. The drawbacks of this study and future action include that only a Catholic school was surveyed, it was a Western Sydney school, and there should be more specific questions about the teachers themselves, such as their gender, experience, and their KLAs. For future action, this study would look at schools that were in a wider area across Sydney and look at independent, Catholic, and government schools.
The survey was conducted to establish teacher confidence and competency in ICT. Data was collected from a fairly even spread of teachers across age levels and years of experience 25% of the data was collected from male teachers, corroborating the ratio of male to female teachers in the state according to the New South Wales Department of Education. The 50% of teachers whose school provided them with devices also provided their students with devices. All teachers expressed that their schools were also BYOD schools, as students were allowed to use their own devices in school for learning. Teachers whose schools did not provide them with devices also expressed that when teaching their classes with the aid of computer, the material used is available on the school's computer network, whereas the other 50% whose schools did provide them with devices used material of their own creation. All teachers who undertook the survey stated that their ICT in both preparation for lessons and in-class teaching had access to an internet-connected laptop, tablet or PC. However, only 50% of the teachers had access to resources such as interactive whiteboards, and only half of those teachers, so 25%, had access to computer laboratories. Out of the teachers surveyed, 75% stated that participation in ICT training for professional development is not compulsory in their schools. The same 75% described the extent of their confidence as little to none in the following: programming, creating online resources and presentations, and teaching students how to use ICT, including online ethics. Conversely, the remaining 25% of responses of teachers who were actively involved in ICT professional development through their school stated their confidence in the same categories ranged from somewhat to a lot. So some drawbacks to the data: only teachers with a science background or a background in science accompanied by other KLAs undertook the survey. Only department school teachers appeared to have been involved with the survey from 3 high schools in Sydney Southwest, and only 8 teachers from these schools which wished to be surveyed. Things that could have been done better: so an attempt should be made to encourage teachers in a number of different KLAs to undertake the confidential survey in order to create a larger data pool for analysis. To increase the reliability of the survey and data collection protocol, more surveys should be conducted in a variety of schools in the public, independent and religious sectors in different areas of the state, including both inner city and rural contexts.
Does the use of ICT in the classroom have an effect on student learning? Classroom observations, teacher surveys and student surveys were conducted. Let's begin with the observations. 3 classes were observed on the 25th of October this year, after ethics and project approval was received from school executive. 3 classes were observed: 1 Year 11 Japanese class, 1 Year 11 physics class, and 1 Year 9 science class. View the slide for lesson topics. So below is a slide outlining some observations made in the Year 11 physics class. There was a minimal use of ICT resources. However, students were highly engaged in the lesson, as tables had been treated for students to be able to draw their physics equations in chalk without leaving a mark on the table. The next class observed was a Year 11 Japanese continuous class. Students were using Quizlet on iPads or laptops to practice kanji compound readings. Students were all on task, and when asked to move on from Quizlet and complete an online find a word, many students simply continued with Quizlet. When asked by the teacher about this, they said that they required more time to revise and wanted to spend more time using ICT to do so. The Year 9 science class observed were doing a practical modelling disease transmission using water, sodium hydroxide and phenolphthalein indicator. Students passed the disease to each other by taking water from each other's cups. The teacher then would drop a phenolphthalein indicator drop into students' cups, and in the presence of sodium hydroxide, the students' cups turned pink. Extremely high engagement was noted in the activity due to the hands-on nature of the activity. The students, after the practical, had to discuss the spread of disease and decide who of their classmates was patient 0. The insights gathered from the student survey suggest that students want to spend more time learning how to use ICT resources in the classroom. While they are technologically competent, they wish to spend some more time learning. Students also want to use ICT for creative, hands-on activities such as making videos rather than using ICT simply because it is available. 20% of responses indicated that ICT is being used simply as a substitute for handwriting. Most of the student responses suggest that teachers are using ICT to an acceptable level in the classroom, as in it is being used commonly in the classroom. And most students agree that their teachers are competent in the use of ICT, but that there is room for improvement. And again, overwhelmingly, Students expect to use ICT in the classroom to apply the skills that they've been learning in the class by making posters, doing creative activities, and performing research. There's an overwhelming use of the word more and the phrase use it more in the responses to the survey. This indicates that students want to use ICT more than they're using currently, and due to the high number of responses that mentioned one or more of the words interactive, creative, visual, hands-on, or practical, it is clear that students believe that ICT should be used for the application of skills taught in class, and it should be used in an interactive and hands-on way. 5 responses do mention how to use ICT in some way. This indicates that students themselves are not always confident with the correct use of software programs, and we as educators need to spend classroom time teaching ICT skills. Most teachers surveyed suggested that they use ICT in a range from 1 lesson per week all the way up to 5 or more. Teachers tend to use iPads, laptops, TVs in the classroom, which corresponds well with the student survey taken. The average response to the question on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being never and 10 being constantly, how often do you catch students off task when using ICT, was about 5. Meaning that teachers are finding students off task regularly. In response to the question, does using ICT increase the amount of student feedback and questions teachers receive? The answers were split. We had 1 yes and 1 other, with the comment made that ICT tasks students are assigned, students tend to focus on their task rather than on asking questions. Teachers also rated the intellectual quality of the feedback and questions they receive as 2 stars out of 5. This suggests teachers are not receiving meaningful feedback from students about their learning, which leads to the question, how can this be achieved? Perhaps a new action research project or exit surveys after each unit designed for students. Teachers also often assign homework which requires students to use ICT on an average of 3 times per week or more. On average, teachers rate themselves 5.6 out of 10 as spending time in class teaching students to use different ICT platforms. This suggests teachers are aware that they need to spend more time teaching students how to use ICT in the classroom, which corresponds well with the results of the student survey. Teachers were also given a list of 6 statements and asked to rate them 1 to 6 based on their relevance to their teaching. Now, the most relevant seems to be, I use ICT as a useful tool for communicating with students, and I allow students to use ICT to apply their knowledge.
The drawbacks of this study include only 1 school was used, only 2 teachers responded, only 1 class was surveyed. Further action would be to access more schools, provide survey to more teachers, and to survey more than 1 class of students.
My research was conducted through teachers of a lower SES school with a high population of EALD students. Through the research conducted, it seems there is limited access to ICT resources according to the surveyed and observed teachers. Through the observations, it was found that there were struggles setting up and utilising ICTs to their fullest potential. And as a lower SES school with a high population of EALD students, there is a large focus on basic literacy skills, including grammar and spelling. The teachers surveyed showed that their ability to use ICT resources is limited due to the strength and performance of school computers. Computer labs within the school have enough computers for a class of up to 20 students, but the internet quality and overall strength of the computers is lacking, therefore puts a halt or slows down several lessons requiring the use of computers or other ICT resources. From my experience observing both practical and theory lessons, I have found that there are issues based on the ease of access to ICT resources, which can halt the progression of a lesson. However, most of the time it only slows it down. A Year 10 multimedia class requires the use of game-making software to complete their assessment task, which will either be slow to load or not work at all. Those students who cannot access their websites or software due to internet speeds or strength of the computer, I have found to be thoroughly disengaged throughout the lesson and thrown off task. Through this experience, there are further things to consider in furthering this research. This includes expanding the focus areas, such as teachers from different KLAs, schools with different SES levels, department and private schools, and also by addressing this question to students.